welcome back to another episode of Canopy Practice Success. I am Casey Brothers, the host of the podcast, one of the hosts, and I'm here with Michelle today. Michelle, will you give us a quick introduction of you and your business and your passions as it pertains to accountants?
Yeah, so my name is Michelle Weinstein. I'm the founder of The Abundant Accountant, where my mission is to really truly end the grind, where we, as firm owners, not me personally, but my clients, feel frustrated and stressed, really having no control over how your firm's going, your pricing, your discounting, you're trying to get everybody and anybody in your firm, and how you can put an end to that and know exactly what to charge, know your worth, even when you think clients can't afford you. And also, if you have current clients, how you can confidently increase your fees to your current clients without the fear of them all leaving you. And so here at The Abundant Accountant, I have discovered what it takes to build a successful accounting, tax, or bookkeeping practice full of clients who are totally willing to pay you a lot more than you're charging now and pay you what you're worth, so you don't feel undervalued and underappreciated anymore, and how you can really detach from the emotional side of the sales process.
Oh, that one.
So, like if you get rejected or a client tells you no, or you send off a proposal and you get ghosted and you never hear from them, how do you have a paradigm shift that massively propels you forward? And that's really what we do here at The Abundant Accountant. It's a community where firm owners do get amazing results. They grow their top line revenues, they're doubling and tripling their fees, and making the sales process the nucleus of the firm versus thinking that it's the work that you're doing for the clients. Because without
Oh,
sales, you don't have any clients. So
if
that's
I
what we do
had
here.
a clap track, I would play it right there, right? It's not, and it's not a bad thing uh, for a company in general to be sales driven.
No.
Um, right? I mean, that's what brings the money in, what keeps the business
Yeah.
alive. And it's you can have the passion for accounting, for the work, and be lacking that and miss it and fail and wonder why. And it's like it's not a reflection on you as an accountant is the thing.
Yeah.
But it's like man, I feel like on so many episodes I've talked about entrepreneurs in general and how entrepreneurs just are not always well equipped to understand all of the business things that they're also going to have to do in addition to the skill set that they have.
Yeah. And I like to tell firm owners all the time, and entrepreneurs in general, like, you signed up for a 24/7 sales career. I know you
Mm,
didn't think you did, but
yeah.
if you didn't want that, you would just, be in a 9 to 5 job. You wouldn't start your own business. You
Yeah.
wouldn't be required to do any sales. You wouldn't be required to do marketing and get the leads. And then the sales piece is converting the leads and turning that into top line revenue. If you don't want to be responsible for that, then it's better off just to, be in a job, or
Yeah.
like not have to be partner in a firm, because the people bringing in the work, that's a sales related activity. Even though I think most people just don't like the word sales, they think it's a bad 4 letter word, SALE, and it has multiple definitions, but it's the most important part of having a successful practice and having abundance in your life,
Yeah.
where you don't have to feel constantly stressed or frustrated, and you can have full control over who you work with, but really also knowing how much you can really charge each client, even when you think they can't afford it. And all of that is sales.
Oh man. I'm a daughter of an entrepreneur and I can't tell you how much I even talk to her about things like this. Like she's not in accounting at all, but she struggles with so many of the same concepts. She's really good. She's got the she talks about her business all the time, right? So in terms of you saying like you're in a sales position 24/7, that is not where my mother struggles at all. And I think in that regard, if you do struggle with that, like it can be a natural thing. Just
Yeah.
and it doesn't have to be to your point, like maybe we try and debunk this 4 letter word of sale.
Yeah.
It's not you pushing anything on anyone. It's you giving them knowledge to then make a decision that they either need to make or don't make, you know?
Well, and I think taking it one step further, they're going to make a decision that they feel good about. So you're ultimately just the guide.
Yeah.
And when you can become really good at sales, it's really just about identifying someone's challenge or problem and really being able to be a good doctor. If you think of the best surgeons in the world, they're the best salespeople. You're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for surgeries that most time you need, but the way they have the conversation with you is they're asking you a lot of open-ended questions.
Yeah.
And that's how you cannot get paralyzed about the sales call. I think so many firm owners I've worked with and I talk to, they get paralyzed about the thought of the upcoming sales call, or worried you're going to get like freeze up and then the prospects take control. But there's a system to it, and you can have full control, and you can also be in the driver's seat without being pushy, without being a nag, and without having to convince somebody. I hear a lot of
Yeah.
clients, well, Michelle, how do I convince them? I'm like, well, that's exactly what you don't do. We
Yeah.
don't want to convince anyone. And I think the unfortunate part is that there's so many firm owners that just don't have a plan.
Yeah.
Your mind goes blank. You let prospects steer the conversation instead of you guiding it.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a plan and you don't, you shoot from the hip and you go to a sales meeting without a plan, then yeah, you probably sound like you're convincing, or you don't feel confident. And then how do you guide that client into you're the best firm owner for them? You don't.
Yeah. I mean, maybe just as you were talking, so in my role, I enable our sales organization a lot. And I
Mm-hmm.
talk to them a lot about consulting and solution selling. And man, if you need to get yourself up and out of that, um, the negative connotations with the four-letter word, think about it as a consulting call. You are
Yeah.
an expert that has these skills that said individual or organization wants to tap into, or at least assess if they need and see if you're a right fit.
Yeah.
Just consult. These open ended questions are so important.
Yeah. And I think when you say the word consult, one other thing you want to make sure that we don't do in a sales meeting is sometimes when you say, well, I'm consulting, you're actually solving someone's problem. So
Mm,
if you're doing free work, you're giving away answers for free,
fair
you're giving
point.
them a
Yeah.
quick tip.
Yeah.
That's not the consulting that you're talking about, Casey.
Correct.
So
Correct.
we want to be really sure that we demonstrate our knowledge by asking really good questions
Hmm.
without actually giving away an answer or answering a specific question, because they haven't paid you yet.
Yeah. In this regard, I'm so glad you called that out. Maybe I actually call it consultative selling, so I still use the word sales.
Yes.
But it's information gathering.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I do feel like, from what I hear from our sales reps, that accountants can have a hard time when they try to do that to them, because like, no, I just want to tell you just show me what you have, just show me what you have. It's like,
Yeah.
no, I want to hear your pains, I want to understand what your
Correct.
firm situation is. And so it's
Correct.
funny that you're saying that they have a hard time doing this, because it also seems that maybe some people have a hard time being on the receiving end of it as well.
Well, I think
But you're
it's hard to be on the receiving end and to ask these questions, because I would say most accounting, tax, and bookkeeping firm owners that I've worked with, not only do they crumble when the thought of a sales call comes around and we worry that we're going to go blank or that we're going to come across pushy. The problem is that sometimes you show up to these meetings or the sales call and you have imposter syndrome, right?
mm,
Like you're not really good enough yet, or maybe you're just starting, or you don't have a niche. So how could you be the best person for them? Or like you're pretending to be the expert. So I think it even goes one step further where you have to have that certainty before you ever meet with a
yeah,
client.
yeah,
Otherwise, why put yourself through that? You
yeah,
have to first know that you're capable of doing the books, the taxes, the planning, the fractional CFO work, the accounting, whatever it is that you're doing for the client, and that you're amazing at what you do. Because if you don't have that certainty, Casey, what I've teach and preach all the time is people buy clarity, certainty, and confidence. If you don't come across any of those, people will not want to engage you in your firm. You have to be confident in the work that you do, and you have to be certain that you are the best person for them.
Yeah. And to that point, you kind of mentioned this already. And not to say that this is a must, but I highly recommend this. And I'm assuming you do too, because you dropped the word. But having a niche
Yeah.
and knowing a target, right? Instead of casting a net wide, uh, this might be a bad metaphor, and PETA might come after me. I don't know PETA approved version. But like shooting fish in the barrel, right? Like you
Mhm.
know who you're going after. And in that sense too, when you've made those um characteristics known to yourself, I think that helps your confidence show up more regardless of how
It,
confident you might be in general.
it's so true. I mean, I always say, you know, really narrow down as much as you can, get your
Mhm.
messaging right, get your communication right, understand how to sell to that unique person, because then
Yes.
selling to anyone else that comes your way that is a good fit, maybe in a different industry, but you still want to work with them, will be so much easier. Like for
Yes.
me, I only work and teach sales and the art of enrollment and how to confidently communicate your value to accounting, tax, bookkeeping firm owners, tax attorneys, fractional CFO, and that's it. I've had lawyers contact me. I've had pretty much every industry person, can you do this for us? And I'm like, no, I only work with this niche. And so when people come to me saying, and this happened literally just last week, oh, Michelle, I'm talking, to 5 other sales companies, trainers, and coaches. And I said, great. What's their track record working with accounting, tax, and bookkeeping firm owners that might offer tax planning advisory, fractional CFO type work? And they're like, oh, well, they're just general. And I said, great. So you can go learn from a generalist or someone like me who literally can sell tax plans and monthly bookkeeping myself alongside a CPA or an EA, or, I know the ins and outs of your firm. I know everything that you're challenged with, and I can sell everything. So, with confidence and certainty, which comes across, that person can make a decision. And then I get to say, well, do I even want to work with someone who's even entertaining coaching and sales from someone who's just a generalist that works with all sorts of big companies? No, that's not probably a good client for me. So you're able to really niche even smaller when you get really clear on who do you want to work with and who do you not want to work with. And to be honest with that person, I wish them nothing but the best. I said, I hope you find what you're looking for. It doesn't even sound like you know what you want.
Well, and to play on your business name even, it's you don't have a scarcity mindset, you have an abundant mindset, which is
Correct.
game changing.
Correct. Yeah. And the abundant accountant was there for a reason.
Yeah.
I really wanted to not only have abundance for myself, but for all of you, who most people that I meet and work with come from a place of scarcity.
Yeah.
Scarcity looks like I need to work with everyone that comes through my firm. I need to take on anybody and everybody. I
I
need to
can't fire anyone.
I can't fire any clients. I should be lucky, Michelle, I even have clients. I can't I can't increase my prices. I'm here to help people. I'm here to really help them. I actually need to discount my fees. And you know what? I'm going to work with someone and do some free work and discount it, and then maybe in the future they'll pay me more. And honestly, that's just a formula for a disaster, because that's how I'm able to help so many firms turn it around. And really, all it is shifting our mindset and having a little bit of success on every milestone. And then that's how we take control back of our firm. That's how we have conversations with ease and confidence. And that's how we can stop second guessing our pricing. because a lot of times you're like coming in saying, okay, I know I want to do bookkeeping at 900 a month for this client. And then you're like, oh no, I'll do it for 250 because I really need the client and I really need to pay my bills and I have a staff to pay. So I better just do that. So
Oh,
that's really what we do here because we stop the trading time for dollars,
mm,
and that's how we start growing a firm on our terms
yeah.
versus on your client's terms or on the terms of when's your next bills need to get paid or when's your next payroll or any of those, because that's just getting by. That's not abundance.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple questions for you.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I should ask one at a time. um, who is this best suited for? And there are two versions of that, so that's where my two questions come in. Size, right? Is this something that anybody and everybody, no matter the size of their firm, should be thinking about? And
A
no
100%.
matter,
I mean, I've worked with firm owners that are a one-man show in the beginning, before you can afford to hire. I mean, what's beautiful about top line revenue is the more revenue you have coming in the door, the more help you can hire, the better you can pay your top staff, the more bonuses you can pay out at holiday time. Like,
the
there's so
more,
many benefits when you
yeah,
can learn the art of enrollment and selling and being able to do it in a way that feels good, where you're not being pushy, you're not a nag, and you can do that. And then there's also firms that have 4 or 5 partners that all need to get on the same page when it comes to enrolling and getting the engagement letters signed and getting the clients to pay up front, because I've worked with firms with 100,000 to 1.2 million in AR, and if you have accounts receivable, you have a sales problem. So that solves that problem too,
yeah,
because if you have AR and you're grinding away 12 to 16 hour days and you're working weekends just to keep up, you have a sales problem. So this is really for any size firm. It's just the bigger the firm and the more heads that are involved, the more everyone has to get trained on that. Where if you're a team of, 5 or 6 people and 2 people are meeting all the clients and doing the selling, then those 2 people need to be on the same page.
yeah. That's fascinating that you say that if you have an AR, you have a sales problem. I'd thought about it as if you have AR, you have an operations problem.
Oh
But
no, that's a sales problem.
yeah,
So if you have accounts receivable, basically you've now become a bank.
yeah,
You give people loans at 0% interest, and you're now a bill collector, and whoever
mhm,
is doing the billing and the invoicing, you're paying
yep.
out of your own pocket. So it's like a loss to your profitability. Um, yeah, it's a total waste of time.
It really is. It is a huge time suck. And
Yes,
and where I thought it was an operations problem was like, okay, well, just collect it up front. And maybe that it ties into sales in that regard of like you're communicating, you have the tools and to pull the payments, process the payments,
correct.
whether that's recurring or whatever it may be.
Might be a
Um,
one-time engagement, might be
yeah,
recurring, but all of that has to be brought up front. But a lot of people, Casey, avoid trying to
yeah,
collect the money up front, and they're like, oh,
because
well,
of
I'll
the
just send you a
conversation.
proposal and you can review it, and then you hear crickets and you get ghosted
Oh.
and you never hear from the other person because you decided to take the reactive or the passive approach
Mhm.
instead of taking the proactive approach, which
Yes.
is, hey, Casey, let's work together. I'm 100% confident I can help you. I've got the engagement letter. Let's review it. We're going to do your ACH for your first payment, or you can pay on a credit card. And by the way, everything's due on the 30th of the month for the next month's work. So
Mhm.
if you don't have that conversation with somebody right there in the first meeting, you are now taking the passive approach and crossing your fingers, hoping that maybe they're going to hit the sign button and pay the invoice. But every firm I've worked with, that's not really a good recipe for success.
Yeah.
Um, and you can't handle the objection. So most of us don't want to be rejected, and we don't want to hear, oh, that why are you so expensive, or why are you so much more than the other firm down the street, or how come you're charging me this year, where in the past it's only been X. All of that are objections that you have to learn to overcome. And when you can overcome them with confidence right there in the first meeting, then
Or
people
even set
understand.
yourself up to avoid them, right? Because
Right.
one of
When
them
you
you said
send a
like,
proposal or send off a quote, you are setting yourself up to avoid the objection,
yes,
which, if you don't hear from the client, they are saying they need to think about it, talk to their business partner, talk to their husband or wife. You're too expensive. Why are you charging me so much? And all of that is because you're not implementing an effortless sales system in your firm.
yeah. And when you don't do that, then objection handling further down the journey is harder. It's so much harder to explain those
Oh, yeah.
same reasons when the status quo was different. So
A
why
100%.
just start off with your on the right foot. I'd be curious to know too, what do you recommend to then for price changes? Do you have a, hey, in my contract it's a 1% increase every year, or I don't know.
Oh, no, no, no. That's a whole nother podcast, Casey, we should
Fair,
talk
fair.
about.
Yeah, I know. We've barely even touched pricing strategy.
I know. No, what I recommend is that you send out a communication via email, snail mail, whatever that is. And most of the time, I mean, when firm owners first start working with me, I do recommend we go 200 to 300% more than whatever it was before. But depending on the firm, if they've got 750 1040 clients and 150 business entities, and then some are monthly accounting and bookkeeping, we address all of the different segments differently. But there is no 1% increase. I can tell you that there are
Yeah,
significant increases because most people I work with don't want to work with so much volume. They rather
yeah,
have higher quality clients and less of the pit of clients. And we want to get rid of some clients. So we're
yeah,
also saying, okay, well, what percent of your volume do you want to shed? And then from there, we're figuring out the pricing. And then from there, the letter is written and reviewed by me. And then it's sent. And I've never had anyone say, Michelle, my price I put too high. Every time from every client I've ever worked with, it's, Michelle, I should have went a little bit higher. I'm like, yeah, I know, it's okay. It was terrifying to do. So
yeah.
next year we have another opportunity.
Well,
But
and
that's really, there's a certain skill set and steps that you need in order to command premium fees.
yes, yes,
So, and that's
yeah,
ultimately how you achieve work-life balance. That's how you get your life back and your freedom back and have that time freedom that I
yeah.
think everyone is looking for and searching for, but it all stems in the prices and how you communicate that too.
Yeah, and then the more you do that, the more you work with the same people, same types of people, same genre, same problems, the more of an
Correct.
expert you become, the more of a right you have to do a price raise every year or two or
Yeah.
however new. Oh my gosh. We need to do another episode just on
Okay.
pricing strategy.
I would love to. Let's
It's
do
just
it.
I feel like I hear so much about it. I mean, I joined Canopy and then a month or two later went to Scaling New Heights. And the first session I sat in was with Ron Baker.
Yep.
And um, it was interesting because I'd come from tech, where, of course, I'm familiar with subscription based pricing.
Yep.
And here he is talking about these things. I didn't know he'd been talking about it for years and is still beating that drum. And it's still hard for people to adjust and
Yeah, and his
hourly billing. There's
subscription
so much.
model that
Yeah.
he's talking about is like a medical concierge doctor business.
Yeah.
And that's one option. You don't
Yeah.
have to go
Exactly.
convert all of your clients to that option, but there's people that want that option that are also willing to pay for it. So
Yes.
again, it's figuring out, how are you not going to negotiate on price? How are you not going to devalue your worth in ways that make it, feel simple, easy, and effortless and automatic? And sometimes the subscription pricing model is a good one, and sometimes maybe for
Yeah.
some it's not. But
Yes.
it's about, how do you work the hours you want to work while having plenty of time for your family and your free time. And
Because you can.
ultimately, it all comes down to your sales process.
Ah, yes, you're speaking my language, something I feel passionate about in my own life, and another reason why I'm like, we got to get this out there because I know accountants talk about it. I know they're running themselves thin, and oh,
Yeah.
I hope this lands well and helps some people out, and then maybe we need to do another episode just on pricing.
Yeah, we can. And if you want to explore too, like if you're an accounting, tax, or bookkeeping firm owner and you're listening and you want to put an end to a lot of these problems we
Yes.
talked about today, you can schedule a one-on-one call with me and my team over at theabundantcall.com. And basically what we'll do is we'll show you how do you close more clients and end the second guessing. How do you stop procrastinating? And also, how do you fill your firm up with ideal clients? So, we will have a conversation about that on our call.
Mhm.
So, you can book that again at theabundantcall.com.
I mean, listen to you. You're a wonderful saleswoman. You just reiterated all of the points that we've just made for the past 20 minutes with your
Yeah.
simple invitation right there. I love it. Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah. No, this was lovely. Thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to our next one.